Today I'm going to be revisiting the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity. This is her first Mothership Mega palette that she came out with, I believe, in 2020. It has a really nice color story, lots of pinks and purples, because we know that Patricia loves her some pink. Now, I was inspired to revisit this palette because of watching a friend's video, Jan. She did a video on her channel using this palette, and she used some of the golds, and she was experiencing not as much of an impact as usual that we're used to with Pat McGrath. So Jan was wondering, is it her? Is it the palette? And I was like, let me try mine and see if it's, you know, possibly the palette, since it is one that's been out for a while. And I think we both have had the palette for a while. So I'm going to go ahead in with some of these shades and create a look. I'm going to start with the Pat McGrath eyeshadow primer, the Artistry Wand, as my eyeshadow base. So here is the Artistry Wand, and I'm just going to put that on my eye, on both eyes. And the brush that I'm going to take is this Refer brush number 2. It's like a flat paddle brush. And I'm going to first go into this shade here. I believe this is one of the shades that Jan used. Now it's coming up pretty well for me. I do have a deeper skin tone, so I'm wondering if it's like this gold is just gonna pop a bit more on me. Oh no. I'm next going to go in with this shade here. Using the same brush, just going to turn it over. Ooh. Oh. And then I'm going to go in with this shade here. So far, I think it's doing pretty well. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush on a little towel that I have here. And I want to go into one of the matte shades because I just used a bunch of the shimmers. And I'm going to go in with this shade here. Taking that on the exact same brush, and what I'm doing is just concentrating it on this lower part of my eye. I love that I can use this brush for a whole eye look, essentially. Now I'm going to go back in with some of the golds just to touch up this inner part of the eyelid. And pulling it out just a bit so that it can seamlessly sort of flow into some of the deeper colors. Now I'm going to take this fluffier brush, and it is a Rephr number 27. I'm going to go into this pink shade here. What I want to do is use that just to buff out around the shadow. I don't really want to change the color too much, so I think this like light neutral pink is going to do the job. I've noticed that for some looks, I can definitely use like a light pink, like a neutral pink, if I don't want to use a brown to allow me to blend some shades. I think I realized that when I used the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Matte in the shade Creme Brulee. So let me go ahead, ooh, there's a lot happening. Let me go ahead and finish the rest of my face, and then I'll be back to tell you what I'm thinking. Here is the finished look. I used my Danessa Myricks Blurring Skin Balm in the shade 9. You can see that I am scraping the sides of this. I did just repurchase it, a shade 9 and also a universal. So I should hopefully get that within the next week or so. I stuck with Danessa Myricks for my contour and went in with her cream contour in Deep 2. I'm making my way through that. And sticking with the creams, I went in with the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Blush in the shade Blushing Berry. And just to round out that berry vibe, I used the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in the shade Berry Me 2. It's my favorite liquid lipstick formula. Now, as for the palettes, Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity. I used quite a few of the shades, I realized. Like, I used most of the pinky purple shades in here, which is kind of like half the palette. And I think I did end up using all 3 of the mattes, 1 to just use to blend everything together, and then I layered 2 of them on my bottom lash line. So for me, this palette is still performing really well. I really like it. I do like pinks and purples, which we all know that Pat McGrath is totally into as well. So I think I get along pretty well with that palette, this palette, because of that. If you don't like pinks and purples, like, it's a good portion of the palette. So I wouldn't get it if you're not into that, because you're not going to enjoy it if half the colors are ones that you kind of hate. I would like to know, if you do have this palette, have you noticed any changes in the formula or the performance? It does have a 12-month shelf life according to the packaging. And sometimes things do happen where shadows and makeup in general changes formula or aren't performing as well depending upon how long you've had it. For me, this seems to be still working pretty well, so I'm keeping it. But I would like to know if anyone is experiencing any change in them. I will try to make sure to revisit the other Mothership Megas, because now I'm feeling like I want to remember how those perform also, although the most recent one is not very old. Like, it just came out a couple months ago. But I do want to pull out the second one. Is that Celestial Odyssey, maybe? I'm not remembering. But I think I will use that one relatively soon and see what look I can create with that. So let me know your experience with the Celestial Divinity Mothership Mega, if yours has changed at all, or if it's still performing pretty well for you. I'm hoping that some of this was helpful. I also hope that you're continuing to take care of yourself. Don't forget to like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.